Here's the main scene. Just as a reminder, this is our screen that we'll be using. Hardly anyone would probably see the Pac-Man. If the TV set was rotated a little bit more towards our viewport, then it might be a little easier to see. Here I am in Maya. I'm going to open up the scene file, and I believe it's this one. As I said, it'd be a little easier, a little more artistic if you could see more of the TV set. So I rotated the TV in 3D, and then I'll hit render, and I'll add that back to our scene. I'm going to import the revised image, and I'm going to click on this layer, and then Option drag to replace it. And I just tilted the TV screen a little more, so we might get a little more Pac-Man or whatever's on your set into view. Let me save the file. Now it's time to combine the screen onto the TV layer. So there it is, very big. Our screen layer does have Pac-Man, and now it's gobbling up this flame. We have different options to put this on the TV set. One would be the same way rain is done, using a Luma mask to create dimension, and then applying that to this scene. And so the dimension we would create is this three-dimensional glass, curved glass, and doing a gradient map to create that. Another way would be to make this a 3D layer by just clicking on the 3D tab, rotating this into position and putting it onto the screen, and then maybe distorting a little bit to get the curvature. But this isn't a 3D video, it's two-dimensional. So first thing I do is just the usual scale. I'll press the S key, and I'll just drag down the scale. And much like we did with the candle, we could use the light from here as a flicker in the TV set, and I'll just drag that into position. If I did create this as a 3D layer, and then just rotated this along its y-axis, making sure it says Y before I rotate so it doesn't go all over the place, you can see how this would be useful and how we could potentially just put it into that area. But instead of doing that way, I have two other options. One is corner pin, and the other one is the mesh plugin that was in an earlier video. And either should work out in this case, because with the corner pin, you could pin it to four corners and it'll be in the correct perspective. The mesh would kind of do the same thing. The advantage of the mesh would be we could create a little curvature. So I think I'm going to use that one. Switching back to the Move tool, typing in mesh up here, and there's the mesh warp. I'll drag that and I'll put it onto my screen layer. I'm going to zoom in. I think there's way too many points what's needed. Now it's a little hard to see the background, so temporarily we could use transparency. Just fade this out so we can go back and forth and see what's going on here. So I'm going to make this one by one, and let's see what we get with that, which will act a lot like pinning the corners, except we'll have tangents to make curvatures. So selecting this one, migrating in, it's creating this because of the warping. So there, and then I'll select this corner point, make its tangent influence less as well. I'll select this one and drag it in here. And I'll also play with the tangents, making them shorter for this side and shorter from this side. As mentioned, the glass effect also would have worked. Making this a 3D layer would have worked. So there's many different ways that we go about creating curvature. So next step is kind of repeating the step of the flicker. You could keep on playing with the curvature if you want. And as a review, on the curvature level, I just set it down to 1 by 1 just to make it easier to manipulate, because since there's tangents, we're able to manipulate the tangents to fit the curve there.